satoma sadgamaya tamasoma jyotirgamaya mrityurma amritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. Lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness to light. Lead us from death to immortality. Om. Peace, peace, peace. The subject of my today's talk is resolutions worth keeping. It is a custom to talk about resolutions at the beginning of the year. The reason is, I feel, it is an ancient custom. In ancient times, it is said that people of Babylons also used to keep resolutions or make resolutions at the beginning of their years. And now, because of the media, has become a very popular subject to think about resolutions or make some resolutions or ask people to have resolutions, or we make resolutions at the beginning of the new year. So new year has started and it is still going on. But the point is very important to remember that if you have to do something and you have to take a resolution, any time is good for that, because time is a good factor, that important factor for resolutions. If you lose time, then it is delayed. If you think that, well, from next year, now you think that next year I shall do something, probably by the time next year comes you will forget that. It will happen like that. So good things should start as soon as possible. There is no doubt about that. Now, the subject of keeping a resolution, and also on what subjects actually we should make resolutions, these two are very important. And also it is good to know how resolutions will work so that it can be successful, and why it becomes failure also, that is important to know. And it is said that about 50% of resolutions that we take at the beginning of the year, they are not really, we cannot sustain it. That means it becomes really a failure. Failure in a sense, that means we do not get out of it. We wish good things to do, and good things to achieve, all those things we think. But ultimately, at the end of the year, or when we take stock of our resolutions, we find that we are not really successful with the resolutions. That also we have to keep in mind, because to be successful in keeping resolutions, it is important to know what are the weak points. And so let us see. Beginning of the year is a very good time to take resolutions, because everything is new at that time. And we aspire to do something new because of the new year, and in that way it is a popular time to take resolutions. So we have to figure out in which area we need to have resolutions. That means if some area is important where I need to do something, and that area needs to be fixed. And most popular subject of taking resolution is the health, body, and pertaining to oneself. That is the most popular type of resolutions that is taken. So it is said that losing weight, that is one of the important things in this country especially. That is subject which is very much at the top of the mind. The reason is, this land, if you just historically see, or you just compare with other countries, is really a land of flowing with milk and honey, as it is called. That means food is so cheap. You cannot imagine. Even in other Western countries, you will not find food so cheap and so plenty and so much availability, so much variety. And also there is encouragement. That means people are actually asking, eat. So every step in the what is called in the when you go out in every plaza, every mall, you will see that 50% probably is the places where you can eat. So eat. That is the reason that we feel to eat. And naturally, by eating, we become what is called, we gain weight. And then ultimately, doctors will say, but we all feel by ourselves that it is not good to accumulate weight always. Sometimes we need to lose them also. So now it is a popular subject of resolution to lose weight. There is no doubt about that. Then, of course, money is another thing. Money, as you know, there is a saying in Sanskrit, Rinam kritva ghritam pibet. If you understand Sanskrit, you will immediately feel that this country is based on that. That means just borrow money and enjoy life. In every aspect of life, you will see that. Our Chaitananji always says that, he gives the example, that means, yes, I do not have anything. That means, actually, I don't own anything, because everything is owned by bank. Mortgage, you say, car, you say, and what not actually you say, and insurance and all those things. All those things are really, as you know, nothing belong to me, everything belong to others. So, I am really, what is called, sacrificed everything in one sense, but definitely it is not in real sense, that is the point. So we have to be within the budget. That is also one of the important things. When the check comes, actually you have to write down where the payments have to be made, and at the end of the, before the month ends, you will see there is nothing in the pocket. It happens like that. So that is one of the resolutions. That means stick to a budget, as it is called. Then, of course, dates are there. Budget and date go together. That means you slowly, what is called, pay your mortgage and ultimately get out of the debt. And debt is important in this country. You have to be indebted. The reason is this. That means that it is said that if you want to borrow money, you have to show a record that you have paid all your, regularly you are paying your debts. I remember we had one devotee, his name, many of you know him. So his name was Gaura. He has passed away. He used to live in Davis, but he was mostly associated with the San Francisco Center, but he was very much associated with our center also. You see that we have the Krishna Pond. He was one of the person who actually originally got the what is called design or idea or in execution also. He had a good hand. So he said, that's Swamiji, I wanted to buy a car, and I told the car dealer that I shall pay cash. And then they said, no, we cannot do that. You have to, we need a certificate that you are really, what is called, capable of paying your mortgages, or you capable of date something. That means there is a technical term, I don't remember that. That means you have to have that certificate that from the bank that you regularly pay your what is called installments of your mortgages or debts. But he does not have anything like that. So what he did, he actually borrowed about $2,000 from the bank. And next day he actually paid that. Then he got a certificate that yes, he has paid his mortgage, and in that he showed that I pay my debts regularly. Then actually he could buy that car. So the mindset, you can understand, is such that everybody feels that everybody is in debt, and naturally if somebody is in debt, so there will be a question how he is handling, so that the person again when he is buying something is not in trouble. That means he will be able to pay back the money. So in that way, banks also require this certificate. Then those who are with family, naturally, they will like to spend more time with the family. Sometimes it doesn't happen. Family, you see, it is said that, well, of course, it is, of course, probably in Los Angeles, such other areas also like that. That means one young man married and he had a child. So naturally child was growing, so his friend asked her, how is your child, how is child is growing? He said that, yes, my child is now like this. Why it is like this? He said that, well, when I come out of the house, I see that he is on the bed, so I see that he is like this, and when I go into the house, that means after return of my office work, I see that he is lying on the bed. So I compare the size by like this. So I do not see him standing on the floor. So I have to say in that way that, yes, my child is growing now, he is like this, then like this. So this is the situation with us. So naturally, we aspire, that means those who are in family life, they will aspire to spend more time with the family so that they can have some time with the children or wife or relatives or friends. So some free time is very important and we crave for that. So that resolution is also important, that this next year I shall find out some time to spend with my family. Then of course there are habits, different types of habits. You know, nowadays medical science has said that yes, you should not practice this habit, smoking or drinking. Definitely, and many other habits are there, food habits and all those things, and those things need to be controlled. So naturally, we feel that if we are addicted to something, we need to give up that. And in that way also we take the resolutions. And then job market is also there. Everybody is not really lucky to have a dream job. It doesn't happen to everybody. I know we have one person here itself. He used to work for HR, as it is called, human resources. That means big companies always require new persons or they need to recruit persons. So in that way, his job was to find out when the company needed such and such a person for doing certain job, probably a carpenter. So naturally, he used to look for a carpenter and the qualifications that are necessary. So in that way, he used to match and he used to interview or he used to recommend the person to the authorities. In that way, his work was like that. And as you know, when 2008 came, so there is this recession. So naturally, he lost his job. Companies are folding, so there is nothing to do. So what to do? So he was just quietly sitting, and I don't know how he used to eat, but he used to eat definitely. Physically, he did not show any reduction in his weight or body. So ultimately, I told him that, well, if you do not find job, you have to find out, do something where you can find job. So one of our devotees actually took him under his fold and they started doing work. Work means the handiwork. That means painting, a little bit carpentry, and in that way they started fixing houses of the what is called senior citizens. That is very what is called fair area where you will find always job, because you don't expect too much money from them also, and you have the flexible time. That means if you want to work one day 4 hours, another day 2 hours, another 3 hours, in that way you can really adjust your time of work. That was a great advantage, but it doesn't give much money. But the job is assured, that's the point, because senior citizens, they also need their jobs done at a very, what is called, at a reasonable rate, because they don't have too much money. So in that way he started doing that, and ultimately he got, that means he became a good handyman, and probably he will become a contractor also. In that way, good job. And so dream job is also important. Then we see, we like to, many things are there, hobbies are there, you know, that is certain hobbies. You see that my friend has a good hobby for gardening, or some other thing that is very entertaining to him. Some people have the hobby of collecting what is called good certain areas of probably history, or certain type of movies, that means ancient movies, and in that way certain areas they can select, and we think that we have to find out something which will be entertaining in the future. We shall also enjoy, and when you leave, actually, people will get that and they will also enjoy. So in that way, we try to have something new which will be entertaining to us. Other areas are like this, volunteering. In this country, volunteers are always required in churches or in other institutions, even schools, and even you will find in the sheriff's department also you will find they require volunteers. So to give something to the society is also very much important, and we feel that being a responsible citizen, we shall do that. And that is also a good area where we can really contribute and take a resolution that yes, in the next year probably I shall do something every week or every month, so much hours or so many days, whatever it may be. In that way, a resolution can be taken. So these are as you know, that I never researched these things. I got somebody's research, and in that way I am conveying to you. But probably I definitely find people who are eager to make resolutions, that means they resolve to do these things in the coming year, in future. So in that way, these are the popular things that we see. Now the point is that before taking the resolutions, it is important whether I shall be successful or not. That is also important part. Otherwise, you will stuck up. Stuck up not only, but at the end of the year, when you really review your resolution, you will be upset. That means, yes, I took this resolution, but unfortunately I did not pay much attention, or you did not really figure out that I shall not be able to live up to the resolution. So that needs to be thought out before taking a resolution. I can give you a very concrete example from the life of Swami Vivekananda. You know, he was traveling, that means he was an itinerant monk. After taking the monastic vows, he left monastery and went for pilgrimage. It is quite a custom. That means the monks like to go to places of religion, do spiritual practices, and places where they feel it is good for them, or there is a good feeling, the supply of food is there, environment is good, health is good, all those things are good. They probably spend more time there in doing spiritual practices. That is very important also, to build the spiritual life. So with that intention, actually, he started from the Paranagar mount, that means the mount which has been established by them, and he was traveling all over. And while traveling, he made friendship with many people of different classes, different categories of people. Ordinary people, very rich people, princes, kings, and all those things, just to see the people and places and know the country, whatever it may be in that way. He did that. And as you know, that after seeing that, he thought that it is too early to teach a new religion or any religious thought to the mass of India, because people are really in general very poor. There are selected people who are really rich, selected people they are really what is called educated. So all those things are there, but that is very few. But if you want to do something in a massive scale, you have to do something for the upliftment of the people from the point of view of money, that means food, money, health, education, all those things are very important. So that actually was working in his mind. So naturally sometimes he opened his heart to some people, some friends, or some people who thought he would be sympathetic, but nothing came out of his, what is called, appeal or what is called opening his heart, that nobody sympathized with him. Then somebody suggested that you better go to West. And you know, if you come to West and if somebody become famous here, then the repercussion will be good in your country. That means people will respect you and people listen to you, and in that it happens. That means historically it is very true. If somebody comes to here, you also know that if somebody is practicing yoga here, and if he goes to India and spends some time in some what is called most unknown yogi, whatever it may be, and for 6 months, and then gets a certificate and comes here that yes, I have been trained by such and such yogi in such and such place. Actually, he gets a good name here. That means that adds to a reputation. So in the same way, whatever you, in India it is also like this, probably it is the psyche of the human being. If you go to the, from India, if you come to this country and if you make some name here and people praise you and if you just come back, then you will be well received, that then will people will listen to you. So he was thinking, contemplating, yes, this is there, but he was not really getting much inspiration about that. So, though people were saying, many young people actually was trying to encourage him, because they came to know about him, because talent and all those things was quite revealed to them. So ultimately he thought that, let me do one thing. So he wrote a letter to Holy Mother Sarada Devi. That means she was alive at that time, and she was very much sympathetic about the young monks. So being a spiritual lady and also known to him, and he thought that if she says, that means it is sort of what is called a sort of resolution, a minor resolution, that means if she says, then I shall go in that way. He wrote a letter to him, and ultimately she wrote back. She actually encouraged him, and then actually he made a resolution, yes, I shall go. So then money came, and ultimately he boarded the what is called the ship and came to this country and became represented Hinduism in parliamentary region and became success. It was a great success for him and success for India also. So in that way things happen. The point is that resolution. We have to think before taking a resolution whether I shall be able to accomplish that. And that actually, that strength came to Swami Vivekananda after he heard from Holy Mother Sarada Devi. So that part is important. That means you have to contemplate if you want to be serious about the resolution, to what extent it will be successful. Then the second is that for regular, our small things that I already gave a catalogue of that. That means you have to review those things. That means you have to remember. You take a resolution and then at the end of the year remember that, and what happened during the year you don't check. Then actually it will not work. That means you are not a machine. That means you are just what is called, it is just program, and a resolution means if you think that you have been programmed automatically it will happen, it will never happen. So time to time actually you have to remember that where I am with the resolution. So in that way we have to be careful. Not only careful, it is a must. Otherwise actually it is just a useless resolution. Then if the resolution is too big, that means you could think and jump into I shall, because our president is so bad, I have to be the president now. If you think in that way, you make a jump, it will not happen actually. So in that way, within the capability, that means you have to figure out what is your strength and to what extent actually you shall be able to do. Probably some money will be required, probably some preparations will be required, probably you have to go somewhere. All those, what is called, aspects of the resolution also you have to take into account. Then actually, if you take the resolution, then it will be successful. Then, sometimes it is necessary that by yourself you will not be able to achieve the, you will not be able to, what is called, you will not be successful in your resolution. That means you will not be able to do what you want to do. That is the point. So you have to get help from outside also. So it is better to discuss about your resolution that yes, this year I want to be a gardener, good gardener, I have rose garden, I have to make a beautiful rose garden. So naturally you have to find out people who know about that. Probably you have to visit the nursery, probably you have to study some books, and also you have to have implements, and also you have to find out time, and in that way actually the other aspects, all the aspects that is necessary, you have to gather and from knowledgeable people. That is the most important part. That means those who are, it is said that Guru, as it is called. Guru, what is a Guru? Guru is a teacher. That means he has some experience that you can follow up on that, and in that way when he shares, you will also get the knowledge. In that way Gurus work. So in all trade actually Gurus are necessary. Teachers are necessary. That is available. That means nowadays, you know, there is so much subjects to study, so many things to know. In every in community colleges, actually, if you just propose that I want to teach these things, I have to master. I have one gentleman coming to me, he actually knows about the laws of drones. That means drones are flying, you know. So nobody knows whether how actually drones will work and how actually they have to control all those things. But he knows, he has studied that, and he wanted to teach laws of drones. So he proposed in the college. I don't know whether he has proposed, but I suggested him that you can teach these things in the college because drones are becoming very popular and very common nowadays. So in this way, there are opportunities of learning these things, and you have to go to the people or places where you can learn those things. Then actually you will be able to gather knowledge. So if there are many resolutions, then again it will be a little difficult to handle them. But definitely several resolutions can be taken in, we can take and then we can review time to time, and it is good to work on the resolution which is really very easy to do. That means you are sure that you will be successful in that way. Changing something a little bit in your habit, or changing something in your routine, changing something in your food, all those things are really easily done. So the point is that you have to categorize. That means difficult things should be kept, definitely they have to be followed because they are important, but definitely if you start with the simpler things, then it will be good in a sense, psychologically useful. The point is that if you continue to fail, then actually you lose your, your mind will not really feel to do new things because you are not able to achieve anything. But simple things actually achievable, and little achievement actually gives strength to the mind. And in that way actually you can proceed for the harder one. That will be helpful for the harder one, which you think that is important, but it is too hard to achieve outright. So that is also important. That means stay focused and remember that easier to maintain your resolutions than those who are easy, they actually help in the long run. So in that way you can really categorize them, and in that way you can handle your resolutions. Now let us see, as I told you, that these are the standard aspects of with the resolutions, how actually it will work within ourselves. That is the point. There is a very beautiful description about that, how we are really, how our mind actually works. That is important to know. Swami Vivekananda, you know, he has, on the basis of the yoga, that means Indian psychology if you call it, he has lucidly said how actually we form habits, character and all those things. So it is a matter of forming the habit, and then ultimately when it is integrated it will become character. So a little bit of Swami Vivekananda's what is called saying, or how he has said, that is important too. It will be useful for us to remember how actually it will work within ourselves. So without knowing how it works, it may be difficult for us to give up the resolutions because we are not able to do that. So the background of how it will work within ourselves is good to know. We call it sanskara. That means any habit that is being formed in ourselves is called sanskara. That means anything we have done and we repeatedly do, and ultimately it becomes a part of our habit, and in Indian language it is called sanskara. So he's saying, it is in Karma Yoga you will find, sanskara can be translated very nearly by inherent tendency. We have to grow them. Some sanskaras are there which definitely we inherit from our, according to our Indian thought, from the past lives. But they are there, and we always work out that. But the point is that how to acquire new tendencies, that is the point. It is important because without growth of tendencies, good tendencies, we cannot really overcome bad tendencies also. That's why Vivekananda also has said. So using, he has given the simile of a lake, that means when there is a wave in the lake, there is a fall, and in the lake actually does not mean that it is go at the bottom, but if we think our mind as a lake, and if there is a ripple on the top, actually the effect of the will be deposited at the bottom in the mind. So it is invariably, that means you cannot escape that, that is the point. Anything that is happening in the mind actually is settling down at the bottom of the mind, that means which is known as chitta in technical language. So it may be very, what is called deep, it may be very shallow, whatever it may, but effect you cannot really escape. So he's saying, using the simile, using the simile of a lake for the mind, every ripple, every wave that arises in the mind, when it subsides, does not die out entirely, but leaves a mark and a future possibility of that wave coming out again. So the point is that it has got positive side and also negative side. So if we are careful and things which are positive, if we do, then it is a great benefit. The great benefit, that means you won't escape anything which we do good. Good things will always remain with you. This mark, with the possibility of the wave reappearing, is what is called sanskara. That means it lies down, and the point is that when actually it will come out, that means similar thing. That means if similar situation comes, actually it will come out. It is like this. Suppose I am in the what is called in the shopping center. So I come across a friend, and whom we have seen probably 10 years ago. It happens sometimes we find people who are coming after 10 years, 12 years. Then how actually recognize them? We recognize them, that means I have seen him 10 years ago, so there is some sanskara, that means impression was there. And as soon as he appears in front of me, that sanskara comes and I recognize him. So it is always happening. Small things, today's things, tomorrow's things, 100 years back, not 100, 20, 50 years back it has happened. So in that way those things are lying, and when the circumstances are really conducive, that will come back. So that is also a great important thing that we need to know. So every work that we do, every movement of the body, every thought that we think leaves such an impression on the mind stuff. Even when such impressions are not obvious on the surface, they are sufficiently strong to work beneath the surface subconsciously. What we are every moment is determined by the sum total of these impressions of the mind. So in that way, actually, according to Indian psychology, mind is working. That means we have a collection of samskaras, and whenever opportunity comes, from there, actually, they are coming out. It is always working. What I am just at this moment is the effect of the sum total of these impressions of my past life. This is really what is meant by character. Each man's character is determined by the sum total of these impressions. If good impressions prevail, the character becomes good. If bad, it is bad. So that is the way things are happening. So I am skipping the how actually one becomes bad, but how one can become good, that also is very important to know. If a man thinks good thoughts will be good, and they in a similar manner will force him to do good even in spite of himself. So if we cultivate a habit which is beneficial for us, so doing these things, resolutions and all those things that I are saying, is a matter of practice. That means doing things repeatedly. Suppose you want to do charity, so repeatedly if you do charity, naturally it will be, impression will be created in your what is mind, and ultimately it will be part of your character. So one good what is called aspect of the character will be in your mind. It will possess. So when a man has done so much good work and thought so many good thoughts that there is an irresistible tendency in him to do good in spite of himself, and even if he wishes to do evil, his mind as the sum total of his tendencies will not allow him to do so. So that is the advantage of cultivation of good habits, doing good things. So resolutions, if they are good, actually ultimately will do good and change ourselves. That means our character will be changed, our personality will be changed. Then he's saying, will not, the tendencies will turn him back, and he is completely under the influence of the good tendencies. When such is the case, a man's good character is said to be established. So in that way, to get the what is called ultimate result of a resolution, actually we have to do it repeatedly, and not only that is why it is very important to selection and all aspects of how it will become successful, that we need to figure out. Then actually if we do that, ultimately it will be an asset for us. That is the point. A simple resolution actually will become an asset in our life. So throughout life actually we shall enjoy that, or it will be helpful in our spiritual life. So these are in this way actually it was that according to our Indian psychology, that Swami Vivekananda said. Now let us see, you will find that how these resolutions, as I told you, in our mundane life we have talked about, but it is important, those who are spiritual seekers, we are always thinking of having some spiritual good or spiritual habits to be formed. So we need to know what actually will be good for us. And also there are catalogues in spiritual life, also there are catalogues which great teachers of course have said, and in that way we can cultivate that. So first is that in Patanjali Yoga Sutra we have these very simple things. That means, as Patanjali has said, that if you want to become spiritual, control the mind means, in a general actually you can say that to become spiritual. Control the mind, of course, can be directed in different areas of the what is called our life, but definitely it is important to cultivate some good habits and and become what is called possess in our character, and that will be helpful in the spiritual. We have to direction have to be given by us. We have to select the direction, and then we cultivate these habits. Then actually it will be we shall be successful in spiritual life. So they are, as you know, they are very simple. And first he has said that yomo, niyamo, pranayamo, pratyahara, dharana, and samadhi. These are the practices. But the point is this: ahimsa. That means which is called what is called abstention from harming others. That is very important. That is the primary thing. Even in our scriptures, probably in all the scriptures of the world, it is said that ahimsa, that means do not do harm to anybody, not only physically and mentally. The point is that it has been found, that means those who are really spiritually evolved, they have said that that is the one of the greatest impediment for spiritual growth. If you think even of ill of others, actually that will be an hindrance to spiritual growth. So not only physically, that means don't kill insect or what is called animal, such other things. That is definitely is good. That is a part of that practice. But even mentally, actually, if you can think that I shall not do harm to anybody, that will be very beneficial in spiritual growth. So it has been said, yoma is that means is abstention from harming others. Then from abstention from falsehood, that means truth, practice of truth. And as you know, this subject is very debatable. That means how to be truthful in every aspect of life, every day in our life, that we know. But still, we have to practice that. So as Swami Vivekananda has said, as I told you, that means somehow or other, if we stick to that, ultimately it will be a part of our character. There are examples. That means I often quote about Mahatma Gandhi because he was a great experimenter. Experimenter in a sense, that means he just took one of these. That means in his religion, that means he was a Vaishnava. Vaishnavas are, that means seekers of God, Lord Krishna's devotee or whatever you call it. They are called Vaishnavas, and they are very much particular about ahimsa. That means they do not do harm to others by thought, word and deed. And also he was influenced by Jain religion. Jain religion is very much, that means primary practice is ahimsa. That means they will not even kill an ant or even insects they will not kill. So not only that, they will not eat certain vegetables also. That means they think that life is there. Of course in all vegetables life is there, but they have particular, in the scriptures it is mentioned in that way. So those who are staunch follower of that religion, they are really very much into this practice of non-violence. So Mahatma Gandhi, because of this influence, Vaishnava, he was born in a Vaishnava family, and he was reared in the atmosphere of Jains, that means extreme non-violence. So he thought that I have to practice these things, ahimsa. And he started practicing and practicing, and he was very watchful. And ultimately he thought that, well, yes, once I practice this, then other things also I need to practice. And in that way, actually, he had to practice all these, what is called, the aspects of yama that we find. He has said that after practicing one of the, what is called, one of the items, if you call it, yama, I found that automatically I have to practice all of them. That is very important in our lives. That means you just practice one good, form one good habit, and when it becomes a part of the character, you see automatically others have come together. They what is called, go together. So in this way, for spiritual seekers, our scriptures has said, as Patanjali has said, that if you want to lead a spiritual practice, this yama is must for anybody under any circumstance in any country. So he has said specifically, these forms of abstention, let me repeat what he has said, is the yama is abstention from harming others, from falsehood, from theft, from incontinence, and from greed. So these are the simple 5 things from the point of view of number, but from the point of view of what is called implanting in the character, it is really a what is called a lifetime job. So he has said all these 5 needs to be practiced by anybody. These forms of abstention are basic rules of conduct. They must be practiced without any reservation as to time, place, purpose, or caste rules. The point is that it is an universal. It is not that you are a Christian or you are what is called you are Muslim or what is a Hindu or Jain or whatever it may be. If you want to grow spiritually, it is a Patanjali Yoga Sutra is a sort of, you can say by today's language, it is a very mechanical. That means anybody can practice it. You don't need any creed to or faith as such. Just go and practice it. In that way, it can be done. So the point is this, he has said this is universal law. That means anybody who wants to grow spiritually without any reservation, and you cannot really leave one of these what is called practice and grow spiritually, it will not happen. And Mahatma Gandhi, as I told you, that he actually took one of them, and he found that yes, it is important. Not only important, he cannot really leave any of these when he practices only one of them. So we can really select which will be suitable for us or which will be feasible for us, and ultimately rest assured that others will automatically come and it will be conducive in the future. So this is the what is called from our one point of view, that means one in spiritual literature. In Buddhism also, as you know, that means 8 limb, that means 8 noble paths that Buddha has said. That is also very good, and those who are interested, they also can take one of them. The point is that we sometimes feel that these are so many things that we have to do. If you read Bhagavad Gita, you will see that there are some 20-some, maybe 22-some good characteristic that needs to be practiced. That means they are called what is called for spiritual growth, they are called sattvic qualities. So they have to be practiced, and you are flabbergasted how actually so many can be practiced. It is not like this. You have to pick up one which will be feasible. That means in the, as I told you earlier, in resolution you have to figure out which is feasible and then start with that. So in spiritual life also, any good quality which is feasible for you, if you do, then automatically other qualities will come. That is a great assurance. Not only assurance, it is a mechanical thing. That means mind is like that. That means if something is implanted, automatically other things will be drawn to it. So let us see Buddha what he has said. He has said, Samma Sankalpa, that means right thought or resolve. That means Purity of mind, avoidance of passion, lust, malice, and cruelty. I shall reach the truth. That means some resolution is necessary. That is also part of sankalpa. Sankalpa means resolution. In fact, we do sankalpa for good jobs. That means suppose somebody, in public offices you will see that will take an oath. Oath means sankalpa, resolution. That means I shall do such and such thing, I abide by such and such, I shall not do such and such things. So this is called sankalpa, resolution. So that is in public life, and also in our individual life also, if we do like that, that is resolution, sankalpa, that means what is the purpose of taking resolution? The purpose is to give an impetus, give importance to that, highlighting that, then actually it will be worked out. Otherwise, if it is casually done, or thought that when time will come, we shall do. So casual attitude will not, there is no possibility of being successful in casual approach. That is the point. Then he has said right speech, that means honest thought in words, refrain from lying and all those things as it is called. Then samma kamma, right action. Right action means non-killing. That is also very important in Buddhism. That means practice of charity, kindness to all. Then he has said samma ajivika, livelihood. Certain livelihood, Lord Buddha has said is not really conducive for spiritual life in general. Of course, there are examples also there by following what is called the livelihood, which are not really prescribed in scriptures. There are persons who had highest realization, like Dharmavada. There is a very good example in Mahabharata. He used to kill. That means he was a Vyadha. Vyadha means he is a butcher. That means he used to kill animals and used to sell. But he had spiritual knowledge that we see. But for us actually that will not work. That means who are not in the profession, for them actually it will not work. That is why I said right livelihood is also important. Then right effort also. Then that means practice of generosity, moral integrity, renunciation, wisdom, patience, honesty, all those qualifications are really part of that. Then of course right mindfulness. That means we have to apply our what is called discrimination, what is good and what is bad. And then actually we have to figure out what is good, and then we have to follow that. Sometimes all the things are mixture of good and bad. Outwardly you cannot figure out. But if you go deeper into that, you will be able to figure out, well, this is ultimately do good to me, and this will not do good to me in the ultimate goal. So in that way, we have to apply your mind. Then of course, right concentration, he has said, that means practice of meditation. Meditation is very important in a sense. Important in a sense that means very effective. It is a great tool for the mind, you can say in that way. That means you can really condense your time by meditation. How? That means if your mind is really flexible, becomes what is called controlled, you can apply the mind anywhere you like. But if you are not controlling your mind, actually mind will be dragged in different directions and it will be difficult to achieve anything. So it is a tool, great tool, wherever you really apply it. So that he has said, right concentration, and if you have the objective, naturally if you apply that, then actually you will progress in that path. So in that way we see that resolutions, taking resolution in different aspects of spiritual life are also available. So now I would like to conclude my talk. You know that story, but in this context it is good. Good means that means it is appropriate, we can say, to remember that resolution which actually have created Lord Buddha. As you know, Buddha was a prince, and he had reared in a very in a place where there was no sorrow. That means he was sorrow was really eliminated, if you call it. That means under such it was taken care that he will not experience any sorrow. But ultimately, when he grew up, he had to see his subjects. That means whom he ruled. That means he will have to inherit the kingdom. So his father actually arranged that, and he saw sorrows of the world. And by seeing the sorrows of the world, it occurred to him that, well, I have to suffer all those things, and also other human beings will have suffer. So is there any solution to that? So in search of that actually he went out, and ultimately he took monastic vows and practiced spirituality under teachers, and he was not really finding anything. That means his objective was not really, he was not able to reach his objective. That means his resolution was not coming, as you can say, to a success. Then actually he took a very, what is called intense resolution, if you call it. That means after 6 years of looking, practicing here and there and moving here and there and doing this practice and that practice, he saw that no, now let me find out myself. So he sat under a tree and then he took a resolution. That resolution is probably what is called world's greatest resolution, you can say forever. Probably it will find a place, or already it is there probably, I do not know, in the Guinness Book of World Records. That is how the one resolution actually kicked him up to the highest spiritual plane. Iha sane susyatu me shariram tagosti mangsam pralancha jatu aprappa bodhim bahukalpa durlabham noivasana kayamatascha visyate. That is the resolution of all resolutions. So what does it mean? Let my body be dried up on this seat. Let my bones and skin be destroyed without getting enlightenment, which one cannot get in many, many births. I am not getting up from this seat. So in that way he sat. And as you know, the result, ultimately he had the enlightenment, and we are getting the benefit of his resolution. That means then he got the enlightenment, and whole world is enlightened by his enlightenment. That means many, many people are getting enlightenment. Many, many people has got enlightenment because of this, what is called Lord Buddha. And many, many people will get enlightenment because what he has left. So the resolution actually, you see, focuses our mind to get to the objective, and Lord Buddha is one of the greatest example.